GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action.
Good night, Montreal.
Today, the congregation that owns the historic Villa Maria estate announced the property is on the market. Situated in the West End, the heritage estate has long been a landmark, its stone manor and surrounding grounds reflecting more than a century of architectural and educational history. The sale listing includes a stipulation that any purchaser must respect the current lease held by Villa Maria College, which continues to operate on the campus. City officials were not immediately available for comment on potential impacts to the neighborhood. Preservation groups have previously expressed concern about the future of heritage sites under private ownership, and they said they will monitor the process closely. The congregation declined to discuss pricing or timeline beyond the public listing, noting that the arrangement aims to maintain the college's educational mission while addressing financial considerations.
Volunteers across the province are being called to join the 3rd Expedition St. Laurent, a riverbank cleanup that runs from Aug 6 through Aug 21. The effort will stretch from the urban shoreline of Montreal all the way to the remote community of Baie-Comeau, targeting litter along the St. Lawrence and its tributaries. Organizers say the aim is to pull trash from the water's edge and improve the river's environmental health. Participants can sign up through local community groups, schools, or environmental clubs, with each weekend offering a coordinated sweep of designated sections. The campaign hopes to engage thousands of Québécois, turning a 2-week window into a province-wide movement. City officials will provide tools and safety gear, and local businesses are sponsoring water stations for the volunteers. Cleanup crews will focus on removing plastic fishing gear and other debris that threaten wildlife and water quality.
The National Football League has tapped Quebec indie group Anguin de Poitrine for its latest TikTok teaser, a countdown that rolls out in the days leading up to the opening game of the 2026 season. The short video pairs the band's driving synth-pop track with flashing graphics that mark each day until kickoff, and it debuted from a studio in Montreal earlier this week. League officials say the approach mirrors a broader strategy of using platform-specific music clips to stir fan excitement before the season launch. Anguin de Poitrine, whose name translates humorously as chest angina, will see its song streamed millions of times as the countdown runs through the next few weeks. The NFL expects the campaign to reach a global audience and to keep the buzz alive until the first whistle blows later this summer.
Health officials are warning of a sharp increase in cyclosporiasis cases across the province. Laboratory reports show the number of infections this year is nearly 4 times the count recorded last year, mirroring a growing outbreak that began in the United States earlier this spring. The parasite, which triggers severe, watery diarrhea and abdominal cramps, spreads through contaminated food or water. Quebec's Public Health Agency has issued an advisory urging anyone with sudden gastrointestinal symptoms to seek medical attention and to practice strict food safety, including washing produce thoroughly. Authorities are coordinating with American counterparts to trace the source, but investigators say the exact vector remains unidentified. Residents are being asked to stay vigilant, especially when dining out or handling raw vegetables, as the situation continues to evolve. The Provincial Health Ministry plans to release a detailed briefing later this week, outlining prevention steps and the scope of the investigation.
CF Montreal fell to Nashville SC yesterday at Geodis Park, succumbing to a solitary 1-0 defeat. The only goal came from a penalty kick in the second half, breaking a tightly contested match that had remained deadlocked through regular play. Montreal pressed throughout, generating several scoring chances, but were unable to convert before the decisive spot kick gave Nashville the lead they held to the final whistle. The penalty was granted after officials called a handball in the box during a sustained Montreal attack, and Nashville's goalkeeper later made a save to preserve the narrow lead. The result leaves the Canadian side with 3 points fewer than hoped for in their early season campaign, while Nashville secures 3 points and a modest boost in the Eastern Conference standings. Both coaches acknowledged the fine margins that define the encounter, with Montreal's manager noting the missed opportunity to capitalize on their sustained pressure.
Coming up, we'll dive into Hydro-Quebec's massive smart meter rollout starting in 2027, plus a quick weather look. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Welcome back, everyone. Up next, Rachel Reed brings the latest local stories, keeping you informed about what's happening right here in our community.
Hydro-Quebec announced a province-wide program to replace its smart electricity meters, with the rollout slated to begin in 2027. The initiative will see thousands of meters swapped across the city, aiming to improve data accuracy, reduce outages, and support future grid automation. Homeowners can expect technicians to enter residences during scheduled appointments, similar to past service calls, and the company says the transition will be phased to minimize disruption. The upgrade is part of a broader effort to modernize the power network, which could affect billing cycles and enable more precise consumption tracking for residents. Hydro-Quebec emphasized that the new devices meet current safety standards and will be installed without additional cost to customers. The schedule will be communicated well in advance, allowing households to plan around the work.
Jalen Dedman is set to make his first appearance in an Alouettes uniform on July 26, when Montreal hosts the Hamilton Tiger Cats. The 27-year-old defensive back joins the squad just in time to bolster a return unit that has struggled all season. Coaches added Dedman after weeks of work on special teams, hoping his speed and tackling will give the Alouettes a boost on punt and kickoff coverage. Fans can expect to see him line up on the field for the opening kickoff at the stadium, a moment the team believes could swing momentum in a tightly contested rivalry. The game marks a key test for Montreal's revamped special teams group, and Dedman's debut will be closely watched by anyone following the Alouettes' push to improve its performance. Local supporters hope the fresh talent will spark a winning streak as the season heads into its crucial stretch.
Yesterday, the Transit Authority announced that Android smartphone owners across the Greater Montreal area could now load their Opus Fare passes directly onto their phones. The change replaced the traditional plastic card with a digital version that worked the same way. Riders simply tapped their device at bus, metro, or commuter train turnstiles. The rollout followed a pilot that tested the technology on a limited group earlier this year, and officials said the system met the same security standards as the physical cards. Commuters who previously carried a wallet-sized card could now keep their tickets in the same pocket as their contacts and apps, streamlining morning routines. The agency also noted that the new feature was available through the existing transit app, requiring only a quick update. Users could expect the same fare rates and transfer rules as before.
Canada's men's national soccer team is set to welcome Chile and Peru for two friendly matches this fall. The first game will take place in Toronto on September 26, followed by a second contest in Montreal on October 3rd. Fans can expect a lively showcase of skill as the three nations test tactics ahead of upcoming qualifiers. Ticket holders will enjoy a weekend atmosphere at the stadium, with local vendors offering food and merchandise. The matches also give Canadian players a chance to perform on home soil before the international calendar ramps up later in the year. Organizers anticipate strong attendance, noting the growing interest in soccer across the country. Nearby cafes anticipate a surge of patrons looking for a pre-match coffee, and several schools are arranging field trips so students can experience the excitement firsthand. Stay tuned for further updates as the dates approach.
The Transportation Safety Board of Canada released its final report on the freight train derailment that occurred in northern Quebec last December. The investigation concluded that investigators were unable to pinpoint a single cause for the incident. While the board noted that extreme temperature swings in the region could have played a role, it stopped short of attributing the derailment to that factor alone. No mechanical failure, track defect, or human error was definitively identified. The report underscores the board's mandate to examine rail accidents across the country and to issue safety recommendations, though in this case no specific corrective action was recommended because the precise trigger remains unknown. The findings close the official inquiry, leaving railway operators and regulators to monitor weather-related risks without a concrete causal determination presently.
Now let's get a look at tonight's forecast with our meteorologist, staying ahead of the riverbanks.
A high-pressure ridge and a westerly jet are sealing the night, keeping Montreal dry and calm. Montreal's all-time July 23rd high sits at 30.9 degrees Celsius, set in 2022 during an unprecedented heat wave that pushed the city into the mid-30s for several days. The record low, 14.6 degrees Celsius, fell in 2025 when an Arctic dip slipped unusually far south, snapping a mild streak. Normal readings for this date hover around 27 for the high and 13 for the low, so today's temperatures sit comfortably between those extremes. Zooming into the live radar, the map is completely clear across southern Quebec. No echoes are tracking eastward, and the high-pressure ridge aloft is suppressing lift. With the westerly jet cruising at 43 kilometers per hour, any moisture would be sheared away before reaching the basin. The dry, stable column means precipitation will remain absent through the night and into tomorrow. That brings us back to today's outlook. At 11 p.m. Montreal sits under a clear sky with a temperature of 19 degrees Celsius and humidity just under 50%. A gentle southwest breeze pushes 15 kilometers per hour, gusting up to 28, and pressure is rising as high pressure builds from the west. Overnight the low will dip to 13 before sunrise, then the sun will climb to a high of 27 under a weak westerly, jet that limits cloud development. The UV index reads 6, and wind will peak at 28 kilometers per hour from the southwest, feeling breezy across the harbor. No rain is forecast, and there are no active alerts, so the night will remain dry and calm. Friday continues the high-pressure dominance with a daytime high of 27 and a low of 15 under clear skies, keeping the breeze light. Saturday spikes to a warm 30, while the night stays mild at 16, again clear and dry. Sunday eases slightly to 28 for the high and 19 for the low, still sunshine-filled. Monday marks the first shift as an approaching trough lifts moisture, bringing overcast conditions and a 35% chance of rain, with temperatures holding at 27 and 20. Tuesday the system deepens, delivering a heavy 85% rain probability, cooler at 26 for the high and 20 for the low, and lingering cloud cover. The pattern shows a brief warm spell before a wetter, cooler finish to the week. And that's your weather. Remember, the wrap is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.
Up next, traffic updates, a look at what's on today, and a preview of the Canadiens' opening night in 2026. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
And now here's Jason with sports.
Hockey fans, circle September 29 on your calendars right now. The NHL has confirmed its opening night schedule for the 2026 to 2027 season, and Montreal gets a marquee assignment. The Canadiens will head to Toronto to face the Maple Leafs on September 29th, one of two all-Canadian matchups on opening night. Edmonton hosts Vancouver in the other. A chapter has closed in Montreal. The Canadiens traded longtime forward Brendan Gallagher to the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for future considerations, according to CBC Sports. Gallagher spent over a decade with the organization and became one of the most recognizable faces in Habs history. A long chapter in Montreal Canadiens history has closed. The Habs dealt veteran forward Brendan Gallagher to the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for future considerations. CBC Sports reported the transaction, which sends one of the franchise's most recognizable names out of Montreal.
On a crisp Saturday afternoon in the heart of the plateau, the streets around Stade Saputo pulse with drums and the chatter of families gathering for what feels like more than a match. Inside the stadium, CF Montreal's players lace up beside a group of local youth coaches who have spent the week running free ball clinics in the neighborhood. An 8-year-old, clutching a hand-stitched scarf in the team's blue, watches the captain's warm-up routine, eyes wide with the belief that she, too, could one day stand on that grass. Coach Wilfried Lahouse tells the crowd that the upcoming clash with Inter Miami will be a test of balance, a sturdy back line to blunt Lionel Messi's brilliance, paired with quick passes that let Montreal's own forwards shine. As first whistle blows, the stadium erupts, and breath of city lifts with each forward surge, each clean tackle. When the final buzzer sounds, the scoreboard may tell one story, but the real victory is the shared feeling that the city's love for the game has grown stronger, hand in hand. In Montreal, the love for the game keeps us all moving forward together.
On a crisp Saturday morning in Verdun, the Verdun Islamic Center became the focus of a quiet but determined investigation. A small, unmarked parcel was discovered on the steps of the mosque, prompting Montreal police to launch a hate crime inquiry. Officers arrived with measured calm, securing the scene while community members gathered, their curiosity tempered by a shared resolve to protect one another. Inside the center, the call to prayer was paused, replaced by the soft murmur of volunteers arranging chairs and handing out water to the officers. A teenage girl from a nearby school offered a handmade sign that read, "Together we stand," while an elderly neighbor, known for her weekly bagel deliveries, placed a tray of fresh bagels on the doorstep as a simple gesture of solidarity. Within hours, the package was safely examined and found to contain only harmless materials, a reminder that fear can be met with factual clarity. The real story unfolded as the congregation opened its doors to anyone who wanted to share a cup of tea, reinforcing a sense of belonging that no threat can diminish. In Verdun, neighbors continue to look out for one another.
Thanks for tuning in, Montreal. Tonight's highlight was the NFL's TikTok countdown featuring our very own band Angin de Poitrine, putting Quebec on the global stage. Stay with us for more local news tomorrow. I'm Peter Miller, and this has been The Wrap. See you then.